Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me today. Welcome to our Siblings Summit. I'm Diana Yoakley, your co-host, and I'm here with Dr. Lawrence Cohen. Welcome, Larry. I'm so glad to have you on the summit today.
Hi, Diana. Great to be here again.
Yeah, great to have you. It's really great to have you here because we're going to dive into some scripts today, I hope, and some really, really practical ways to help families out when sibling dynamics are at play, especially regarding criticisms and feedbacks that siblings give each other. So we'll get into the details in a minute, but first I want to tell you guys really quickly about Larry. So Dr. Lawrence Cohen is a licensed psychologist and the author of Playful Parenting and the Opposite of Worry. He's also the co-author of Unplug and Play, Mom, They're Teasing Me, and Best Friends, Worst Enemies. He leads classes and workshops globally for parents and parent educators and has an amazing program on playful parenting for international audiences. And I'm really honored to be one of the playful parenting leaders that has graduated through Larry's program, which I highly recommend. So we'll talk about some resources at the end you can get a hold of through Larry's newsletter. But to start, I'm really curious about how we can support families in handling this dynamic between siblings. So siblings spend enormous amounts of time giving each other feedback, such unplanned feedback, like you're being too loud. That's not fair. Stop copying me. But most of it comes out
Right.
as a complaint or an attack. And so
Right.
I'd love for you to help us figure out like what's happening here when these siblings are having these conversations. And why does sibling feedback so often land as criticism rather than helpful information so that the other one can stop irritating their sibling?
Right. I love you calling it feedback. I think that that's a very generous way
Yeah.
to think about it.
Yeah.
Um, there's so much going on here. It's a great way to look at sibling conflict, because usually we talk about fighting over us or fighting over a toy, but this kind of verbal intensity and the stop doing this and you always do that and
Mm-hmm.
either to each other or to mom or dad. It's like he's always coming into my room and bugging me or um when you hear all those exclamation points in the
Yeah.
language, this is a
Yeah.
sign that the child is flooded, that they're not in their logical side of their brain, they're in the emotional
Mm-hmm.
side of their brain only. And when we're flooded, we don't give feedback in a constructive, useful way. It's not
Mm-hmm.
even our goal at that point. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a goal of get out of here, leave me alone. But all those exclamation points are a sign that we're in survival mode. And this is confusing and frustrating to parents because there's no survival at stake.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
who has the remote? Who went
Yeah.
into whose room and who touched each other's stuff. Like this is
Yeah.
unpleasant, and we remember if we can remember back that far that this was not the best thing in life, but it's not survival. And yet, in the child's nervous system, they're in the nervous system state of fight, flight, freeze,
Mm-hmm.
survival, scream, um, and
Yeah.
the giveaway is that there's some language, but it's not. Excuse me, I would really prefer if we could
Yeah.
have some time apart and then we could play something together later. How would that be for
Mm-hmm.
you? Right? A child
Yeah.
is seldom going to say that anyway. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that emotional flooding makes it really hard. And then, of course, the other person was probably on their way to being flooded, but we know that because they were doing something obnoxious to begin with. Or maybe
Mm-hmm.
not. Maybe they're doing something
Yeah.
perfectly innocent and innocuous and hey, do you want to play with me? Or whatever it is. Um, but then when they're blasted with that intensity, then they get flooded as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hear the screaming and the crying, and what happens to us? We get flooded.
We get flooded.
So now there's at least three emotionally flooded participants going on, and
Uh,
not much calm, not much thinking. Um,
yeah.
so, what do we do with flooding? some deep breaths, the let's take a little break, let's feel our feet on the floor. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go splash some cold water on my face and come
Yeah.
back and see if I can help you with this. Um,
And I think what gets parents often is that it's like sometimes it can be a surprise. Like
right,
I thought everybody was getting along, and then all of a sudden, and maybe they were even not even playing directly, like you said. And
right,
it didn't seem like anyone was in fight, flight, freeze, or whatever, right? Or fight.
right.
But then suddenly somebody is like, "You're being too loud," and it's like, where did this come from? Because I think it
Exactly.
catches a parent off guard, and that helps with their
Right.
dysregulation, makes it
Right.
worse.
And it just can come out of nowhere. And I think
Yeah.
partly another part of this is that children have very strong needs for both connection and for autonomy. And for most children, both of these needs are deeply, deeply wired. They're very, very important. And when that's threatened,
Hmm.
then there's an instant explosion. And that's why you go 0 to 60 so fast. So you touched my little sister touched my Lego. It's like she's looking for affiliation and connection. My brother
Right.
loves Legos. I'm going to go play with his Legos and he'll love me because we both love Legos. And then my big brother will love me. And so but the big brother is like, my autonomy is threatened. That is mine. You
Hmm.
touched it. And it's like if you're standing here, it's fine. But if you're standing here, you threaten my autonomy. And autonomy can mean a lot of things. It can mean I'm the best, I'm the fastest, I'm the strongest. I'm the
Hmm.
best at this game. And so that can get threatened by a sibling very easily.
Hmm.
Autonomy also is this is mine, this is my room, this is my stuff, this is my toy.
Hmm.
It can mean me first, me first, me first.
Hmm.
I remember my daughter had a friend, and anytime at his house, he had to have the green cup. I don't know why mom didn't go out and buy 5 green cups, but there was one green cup. And the kids are like, they gravitate towards it. It's like, I want the green cup. And they kind of know he's
They
going to
know that
say,
somebody else is territorial and then they want
oh,
it
I
too.
got the green cup. Um, And so this is all this autonomy. And it's frustrating
Mm.
for us because who cares? It's a green cup. Have the blue cup. They're the
Hmm.
same. It's so aggravating because we
Yeah.
recognize that there's a true, important, valid need underneath.
Yeah.
So one
Yeah.
of the best things we can do is to see if we can discover and name the needs. Because we
Yes.
try to enter the conflict at the who touched who and what and who, were they really too loud or they just the other person's too sensitive or are you too loud? Like, this is impossible.
Hmm.
We can never
Yes.
win if we try to intervene that way. But if we say, oh, I think that you have a real need for some quiet, for some peace, for some area where you won't be disturbed. And then the other one, you have a need to really get in there and connect with your sibling. You need some togetherness. This is really hard when your needs don't match up
Hmm.
together. Things just really, when we name needs, if we don't have to be exactly right, but if we're close,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, and we add that, it can really help de-escalate.
It can help them they feel that you understand the frustration of like this
Right,
grinding that you can't get what you want. And it's
right,
frustrating. And you're kind of
right.
resonating that when you do this. Oh, yeah.
And they tell us that they want us to be the judge and the referee, but that's a dead end. It
Yeah.
never works, and we
Yeah.
fall for it all the time. I know I have a million times. Every parent does. We fall for it and we jump in and we're the judge or the referee, but that just doesn't, that's not what they really need. We need to look
Hmm.
underneath. And it's, I think it can seem like a huge task. What does the child need? But if we think about connection and autonomy, it's almost
Yeah.
always one of those.
Yes. I love the simplicity of that. Is check those two things first. Most likely it's going to be like one of those, right?
And when there's sibling conflict, we think about connection and autonomy. So often it's because I want to connect by, hey, 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 let's do something. And the other one, that's not their way of connection, right?
Or at least not right now. Maybe
Not right
earlier they
now.
were roughhousing, but
Right.
now they're more like fancy. They don't want to roughhouse, right? Like,
Right. Right. So they both want connection, but they have a different idea of how. It's like when
yeah,
dogs and cats, it's like,
yeah,
like they give each other the wrong signals and they don't understand each other's signals. So, or
yeah.
one wants connection and one wants autonomy. This is so common in that
Mm.
moment, like you said. It could be completely different 10 minutes later.
Right. Yeah, because and I mean it's so obvious when you say it like that because I think about adult relationships and especially couples
Right.
and like all the advice you get for couples like counseling. It's like well, meet them where they're at and give a little because they're having a different experience. It's the same thing for kids, but of course when we're the parent, we're like same, like everyone in the one bucket. But if it was two adults, we would have more respect that like, of course this person wants one thing and this other one wants something else. And now we have to find a way to make it work for both.
Right. And to recognize that things that bug us about our partner, often it's their way of trying to get connection. And
Mm,
connection's a good thing. We just might have, a different understanding of that. It's
yeah.
like I remember having this client I had years ago, and she's like, my husband is constantly like saying, we're sitting at breakfast and it's like, oh, I read this in the paper and I read this in the paper and I read this in the paper, and it's so annoying. And it's
Yeah.
like, he wants to connect with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the way he's doing it is annoying you, and this is really unfortunate, but you both want connection.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Mm-hmm.
hard. It's hard to explain to children, but
Yeah.
you don't have to go into all the details. It can just be, oh, I think you need this, and you need this, and I need something else.
I
Um,
need you guys not to fight. Yeah.
yeah. I need some peace and harmony in the family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Another big part of this is that we see our children, we hear our children doing these kind of fights, and this, I love when you use college feedback, like get away from me, and you
Yeah.
always said, but they didn't make this up. We live in a culture of punishment and blame.
Mm.
Our go-to as a culture when there's a problem is find
Yeah.
who's to blame and punish them, and
Yeah.
criticize and all that. And so we didn't make it up, and our children didn't make it up. I think that they really are reflecting that
Yeah.
that we need to push hard towards a very different model, a model of
Yes.
generosity and understanding and repair. You know, um, Restorative justice, it's something that people think of it as something in the judicial system, but it applies in families too, which is like
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to figure out who was wrong and who needs to be punished. We need
Mm-hmm.
to repair the relationship.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And kids know best of all about it's not fair. The
Right,
justice system at play, like
right,
it is
right,
not fair.
right, right. So a great question is, how can we make this right?
Yeah.
I love that instead of say you're sorry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of leave him alone, instead of be nice to your sister, it's,
Mm-hmm.
there's a problem here. How can we make it right? And of course, one of them will say, just tell her to leave me alone and then everything will be all right. And it's like, okay,
Tell her to not have any needs and everything
yeah.
will be all right,
And
and to
then
not
what?
communicate them to me.
Exactly. So what I like to do is um, I learned this from Patty Whipfler of Hand in Hand Parenting. She calls it being the happy, dense person. So you smile
Oh.
and you say, "Oh, that's an interesting idea. Let's check that with your sister." Okay, your
Mm.
brother has the idea that this will all be fine as long as you don't need anything. Does
Yeah,
that work
yeah,
for you?
yeah.
No. It's like, oh, that doesn't work for her. I'm so surprised. It's like we
Yeah.
keep thinking, what's going to work for everyone.
Hmm.
So this is the model, like instead of who's wrong
Yeah.
or who's right and we have to protect them and, oh, you're right, you're right, you're right, poor thing. Instead of who's wrong and who's right is how do we keep reaching for what works for everyone?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you're saying the parent is helping translate in these moments.
Right.
We're coaching them. Um, Yeah, because I think this is what I think we need to do this for a little while, right? Until the kids learn these words, because this is a
Right.
skill and
Right.
we're trying to help them express the feedback without
Right.
attacking the sibling, without the criticism. But I feel like even in parenting, when we do it a lot, it's still like it takes so long to
Yeah.
ingrain this like script. I mean, obviously, even for ourselves as adults, sometimes things just slip out that are criticism. It's like, whoops, didn't mean
Sure.
that. Have it.
Sure. I think one way to build that bridge is a phrase that is, wow, that's a strong way to say.
Mm,
That the child, sibling says
mm.
to the sibling, I hate you. It's like, that's a strong way to say you're really mad right now.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it's true. It's like they're having the feeling. The feeling is so intense that they've lost their logic and rationality. And, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
help to say, how would you feel if somebody said they hate you? Because,
Yeah.
that's where they're at. They're not in that logical mind. Um, but um, So the emotional brain doesn't have much language capacity, so it
Yeah.
reaches in and it grabs a few keywords, grabs intense words, and it grabs exclamation points while it's there.
I love that.
It's not fair, right? You can tell it's only 3 words and 3 exclamation points, so
Mhm. Or stop it.
stop it.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drop dead. I wish you had never been born. This kind of stuff. So it's
Mm-hmm.
words with high intensity. And
Mm-hmm.
so we can, if we just say that's mean, don't say that. Well, the child thinks I'm not supposed to feel what I really feel. I guess I
Mm-hmm.
have to hide what I feel, or I guess I just have to not care what happens
Uh-huh.
because I'm just going to blast out this feeling anyway because I have to. Those are bad choices. So instead, and we have to have some oomph in our voice when we say this.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a really strong way to say that you're mad. No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad. I hate her. I get it. Those are probably the strongest words you can think of right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know how intense those words are. You really are feeling something very strongly. Um,
Yeah.
and we're not lecturing them of, oh, say it gentle, say it nicer. If they could, they would.
Yeah. And I think there's a part of us as parents when we're going through it like on a daily basis sometimes. It can feel like when are my kids gonna finally be nice to each other? And it can feel like, as a parent, you don't actually want them to say any of it because you
Right.
just want them to be like, can't you just get along? And part of it is the exhaustion, but part of it, I think, is the parental guilt that, what am I doing so wrong that my kids still say, stop it, you always and you never, and just like these criticisms, right? So I
Yeah.
don't know if they have some reassurance there for parents because I think it takes
Yeah.
years to like build
Well,
some sort of like socially acceptable skills around this for kids. And in the meantime, I think as parents, it can feel very like guilt inducing that you're parenting wrong.
exactly. Right. First of all, yes, it's totally normal. There's researches that children who fight it out as when they're young have better relationships when they're older.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
they just refuse to fight. I mean, they're not allowed to ever fight.
Yeah.
Then they just disassociate from each other. They disengage from each other and they're not close. So they
Hmm.
need to fight it out. They need to work it out. Um, and it's yeah, it's normal. And I think that another technique that I'll throw out, which I really love and I've used a lot, is bringing some new energy into the system.
Mm.
Because to just say stop, you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
and to beg and plead that they be nice and to, oh, why can't you get along? And to feel guilty. That's not some good energy that we're bringing along. Um,
Right.
but so some examples of how to bring in some different energy. One is
Mm-hmm.
with play. So it's like, hey, stop fighting! I was trying to take a nap and you two are just fighting all the time. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
um, you're so mean, you're so mean. Ah, I would never say that to anybody. And then the doll's like ridiculously mean and in a funny way. Um, there's some new energy there. Another way to bring in new energy is to have it come at you
Mm-hmm.
because it automatically becomes more playful that way.
Yeah.
Part of what happens, like you started out saying, like they're trying to give feedback and it turns ugly, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have the skills to give this feedback constructively, and most adults don't either. So,
Right. Right.
um, so because they're trying to communicate something,
Yeah.
but the other one is not listening attentively and empathically and oh, I think what
Yeah.
you're trying to say is you need a little space right now and I understand.
Right.
No, so the other one gets triggered, and it's very normal and natural. And so when they take that energy at each other, it can
Mm-hmm.
turn into a real fight.
Right.
But when they bring it at you, it can be a symbolic fight. And that's
Mm-hmm.
completely different. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times adults get really confused between the difference between violence and symbolic aggression. The
Mm-hmm.
parents won't allow any kind of toy guns or pretend guns or, even magic wands to turn somebody into a frog. Like it's too
Yeah.
aggressive. It's too aggressive. No, this is symbolic play.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, nobody ever better tell me that I'm
Not to touch those
nosy or
Legos
that
or
I'm
yeah.
not to
Yeah.
touch their Legos or that I'm too
Yeah.
noisy or that I'm too nosy or you better not say that to me. And then you say that with this brightness and then it's
Playful,
like,
like yeah. Mm-hmm.
oh, there's a road out of this hostility and toxicity, and the road out is play and lightheartedness. The opposite of aggression is not, oh, peace, and let's pretend that we're the United Nations and we're all at peace and that's not very fun.
Mm-hmm.
So the opposite is really playful, symbolic aggression. Then
Mm.
you can see whatever brings the most laughter. So if they start telling you, don't touch my things, you can, "Wah, I can't believe it. Wah. Mommy,
Yeah.
mommy, I'm gonna call grandma and say, mommy, mommy, the kids are teasing me." Um,
Yeah.
and or you can just, start a pillow fight or um, you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
overpower them. So you got to be tuned into yourself that
Yeah.
is not triggering you too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do something else I should have said at the very beginning is what a great opportunity to look at your own sibling history and all the happy
Yes.
and sad and miserable memories that you have from that and to share them with someone and to
Mm-hmm.
empty all that out so you can not be reliving all that with your children. So you're tuning into
Yeah.
yourself and then you're also tuning into the children and seeing what makes them laugh.
And so in the moment, it sounds like when we turn it into a playful interaction and channel it towards the parent away from the siblings doing this to each other, I'm imagining there's two things at play. One is the energy and the tension in the room is being like shifted and transformed. But
Yeah.
also can you highlight like how is it helping teach for next time? How is it teaching the skills for next time as well?
Yeah. Skills are great,
Yeah.
but they really don't work when there's too much tension.
Mm-hmm.
And the flip side of that is if we relieve the tension with laughter, the
Yeah.
skills develop naturally.
Ooh.
I think that if we're working hard to teach a skill, then we're pushing a rock uphill that
Yeah.
the tension is in the way. And instead of
Mm.
teaching harder and teaching louder and teaching whatever, then it's wait a minute, let's relieve the tension and let development do its work.
Mm. So you're saying inherently they have a desire to get along and work things out,
Exactly.
but when there's tension, they're blocked from that resource that's
Exactly.
inherently there.
Exactly. Development, children don't start out sharing, but most
Yeah.
children are able to. It's a
Yeah.
the process of development, and um, it's most children can't handle things that are not the way they want them, but we learn and we develop, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm less concerned about teaching the skill. I think
Mm.
that um, our job is to help reduce the tension.
I
Uh,
love that.
the skill develops more naturally, and then by role modeling. You know,
Yeah.
so I was a
Yeah.
little
And
annoyed
assuming
this
we're role
morning.
modeling. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was a little annoyed earlier when this happened. I started feeling like "Ugh," inside. Um, and I want to, get off on the right foot. I want to get back on track with you.
Mm-hmm.
Another game is it's related to the bringing it onto yourself, but it's the idea that words have power. So, we're talking about this kind of verbal conflict, uh,
Yeah.
this criticism and angry out tirades and all that. That children have learned that words have power.
Mm-hmm.
There's something kind of not fair. We tell children, use your words, right?
And then we say,
And
don't
then
use
they're
those
using your
words.
words and don't use those words. It's like, well, no, come on.
Yeah.
So, um, there's a game with younger children that I love, which is I call it the poopy head game. But basically, when children use bad language, bathroom talk or
Mm-hmm.
swear words or words that you really don't want to have them saying for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite game is, oh, you can say that, but you better not say quagmire. Oh, didn't believe it. Say quagmire. Don't say that. Whatever you do, don't say that. And they'll say it, and you're like, pretend to be outraged in a really funny way. And you're
Uh-huh.
taking the tension away that's come from this kind of language. So children learn
Mm-hmm.
certain words have power, certain words have extra power. And
Mm-hmm.
then the you never do this and all that has a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell it has power because it gets the other person upset.
Yeah.
It gets the parents upset. It gets a reaction.
Right.
And instead of saying, oh, I didn't like that reaction, I won't do that anymore. That's not how children's brains work. Instead, it's
Yeah.
that got a big reaction. I like
Push that button.
reactions. I want to see what happens when you push that button. So I'm going to push that button. So the game of oh oh, it's insult time. Let's have some real whoppers, and let's come up with some really funny insults for each other, and uh,
Uh-huh.
or funny ways to say I'm mad. So um, I went to graduate school in North Carolina, and I learned a lot of really fun like Southern expressions. So there's this one kid, and he'd say, "I'm madder than a wet hen."
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that. And then if he was really mad, he'd say, I'm madder than a wet hen in a haystack. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I just, you have the truth of the expression, but it's also funny at the same time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if you can bring that into humor, and it's like, you know, you smell like a, duck that's been, stuck in the attic for 6 months. Oh no, you smell like, just thing you just make it humorous,
Mm-hmm.
exaggerated, not
Mm-hmm.
words.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, and they get the emotion across in the feedback without attacking the other person's identity and
Right,
character.
right. Right. And I wanted to say one more thing about bringing other energy in.
Mm-hmm.
So pretending to call on grandma, your mother, your grandmother, your mentor,
Yeah.
your spiritual guide, your guardian angel, the children's guardian angels, like pretending to call on them. Uh,
Uh-huh.
it's like, just pick up the pretend phone and say, hello, hello. Grandma, I need help. I can't take it because they're yelling at each other. I think they're trying to give each other constructive feedback, but it's not going well. Um, and you just have brought in a different energy. And
Uh-huh.
it's like, oh, grandma says to give each other a hug. It's like, they're not going to give each other a hug, grandma. That's ridiculous. Um, so you're bringing in something very new and different.
Mm-hmm.
And and so different from what our initial impulse is, which is
Mm-hmm.
to criticize them for being critical, to blame them for
Yeah.
being, to punish them for punishing.
Mm-hmm.
That's our
Yeah.
impulse. But we have to break away from that.
Yeah. And so, imagining a child going over to their siblings' Legos and touching them, and we intervene in this way, and they join in, and everybody gets giggling. And then would you suggest then doing a little reflection, as parents might be tempted, especially parents watching a summit on siblings might be tempted to like, and next time can we ask nicely, or should we just leave it at that and just let the laughter and the connection kind of be the final thing?
I think so.
Okay.
You've said it a million times.
Yes.
To
Yes.
say it again at that time is kind of undermines the connection and the humor
Right.
after has built up, I think. Um, and um, there's a variation of that I think invites reflection and still is playful, which
Uh-huh.
is before, you catch things before they're happening, and you
Uh-huh.
say, um, you guys have the afternoon to play together and get in trouble and get mad at each other, like how do you want it to go?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you pretend like you don't care. You just are interested. I'm just wondering how you
Yeah.
want it to
Yeah.
go. Screaming and fighting and coming and running to me to solve it, and somebody ending up in tears and somebody with a black eye. And should we have that or should we have, oh, peace and harmony and everybody gets along? And oh, excuse me, would you mind if I played with your Legos today? No, I'd rather play with them by myself. Oh, okay, I understand. Maybe tomorrow. But not it's exaggerated. You
Mm-hmm.
exaggerate both sides for the humor effect. And
Mm-hmm.
and of course, children might say, "Oh, we want to fight." But it's totally different because
Right.
and then, part of them does want to fight. That's another thing. Part of
Yeah.
why I think the idea of feedback is grabs me and is so
Yeah.
interesting to me is that is their goal really to give feedback? Do they really want the child to leave them alone? Or do they want to just keep repeating this game because it's exciting? And even though it ends badly and gets them in
Mm-hmm.
trouble or gets them hurt or whatever, it's not clear really what their goal is.
Yeah.
It's sometimes, so sometimes with older children, especially, we can say, I'm wondering what your goal is. Because if your goal is to have your sister not come in your room, I don't think it's working what you're doing. Do you think it's
Yeah.
working what you're doing? In fact, I think it's backfiring because when you yell at her, it gets her kind of agitated. And now she
Mm-hmm.
knows what button to press to get everybody all agitated. For some reason, she
Mm-hmm.
likes doing that. I don't know why. Um, so I wonder if that's your goal, I wonder if there's another way to do it. But maybe that's not your goal. Maybe your goal is to like, let's have a good fight and then we can, you know, enjoy the
Do
fight.
you think like, and I'm imagining, siblings with some sibling resentment, accumulated resentment, a little chip on the shoulder with sibling rivalry about this other child being around and being born. Is
Absolutely.
this, is that kind of always the underlying wanting to look for a fight, or are there other, and you can speak to that
I
specifically, but
don't,
also if there's
yeah,
other
I don't think
categories.
so. I think that it's that autonomy need. Um, and so, you want to prove that you're stronger and faster and bigger and smarter and all that stuff. I think that some children crave excitement and intensity.
Hmm,
Um, some children don't like it, so they avoid it. Some people don't like it, so they provoke it because then they have some mastery over it. It's kind of
mm.
a paradox. It's like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate when you yell at me, but what's really bad is when I don't know when it's coming. And so
Uh-huh.
I
So I'm
get
gonna
mad at you.
schedule it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
And
can control some element of it
I can
because it
control
feels
some
out of
element of
control.
it, right?
Yeah.
I'll bait you and then you'll explode. And it's like, yeah, yeah, I knew you were going to do that. Uh,
Yeah.
and now
That
I've
makes
got the
sense.
upper moral high ground
Right, right.
because all I was doing was, trying to play. And then you're the one who, yelled at me and hit me. And so there's a lot that's going on behind,
Mhm.
behind the
And let's
curtain.
imagine like it is a sibling with like sibling resentment about, a chip on the shoulder about their sibling.
Yeah.
Would we still approach it that way, or would we add a little like something else to that?
Well, this lets me bring in another important tactic, which is special time for each one.
Right.
There's nothing better for sibling relationships than to have
Yeah.
special time with each one and not with the other one sitting there watching you. Somebody has to be with them, or it
Yeah. They
needs
have to
some
be
doing.
consumed so they're not jealous because that just
Yeah. So they
exacerbates
each,
it, right?
yeah, they each get it, once a week if you can handle that, 15 minutes or an hour. And in that special time with you, they will bring out what they need. So if it's really special time, that doesn't mean I got tickets to the game, it's not something big. It's whatever you want to do, I'm here to do it with you. And so younger children will often want to be the boss and order you around
That's so common.
and take
Relatable.
that opportunity, which they can't with their older siblings. And older siblings will might want to do something that without being interrupted by the younger one, without having you say, "Oh, you're the older one. You have to give
Mhm.
everything. You have to be the honorable one."
Yeah.
So when they get to have you all to themselves, they work through a lot of that. And then in addition, once they get the idea of what special time is and that they really can do whatever they want within reason,
Yeah, yeah.
too expensive or dangerous, um, then well, I like to add sibling special time. So you say you have a half an hour, you go get to see the kids, and you say, I have a half an hour for, brother special time or brother sister special time. Whatever you'd like to do, I'm here.
Mm.
But they have to agree. Right?
Mhm.
So if they want to spend the whole half hour fighting about what to do, then you're delighted that that's how they're using that time. You don't say, he had a good idea, and you're just saying no just to be a jerk. You don't do that. You're just like, oh, he wants to play tag. No, oh,
Mhm.
he doesn't. You want to play tag. He doesn't want to play tag.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you're being the sun. You're shining. You're giving the love to both of them. You're trusting that if they want to spend this time fighting, this is something that they need for some reason that we might never understand. Um, and then something happens when they work it out and they figure out something that they want to do.
Mhm.
Sometimes what they want to do is fight, and it's like, oh wow, I never see the beginning of a fight. I only see the end of fight. They come crying to me. This is so interesting to see the beginning of a fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think special time is so powerful all the time, but particularly when there's a lot of conflict, because it's like they're taking it out on their sibling, but really it's something that the parent can support them with one on one. So the sibling doesn't have to be the victim of their
Right,
unprocessed
right,
emotions, right?
right. And what I'd add to that is there's nothing that we can't bring into play. That there's nothing terrible and horrible, and there are terrible
Yeah.
horrible things in life. but nothing
Yeah.
so terrible we can't bring it into play. So if a young child has a new sibling and they're really jealous, then
Hmm.
when somebody else has the baby or the baby's sleeping, I like to play, oops, I dropped the baby. Oh, oh. And it's a game. It's funny. It's the child doesn't learn to drop the baby. The child is releasing their tension about their desire to drop the baby. And then we rescue the baby and drop the baby and rescue the baby and drop the baby. Um,
Hmm.
and no actual babies are harmed. And the baby's actually safer because the child has a place to unleash and unload that resentment,
Hmm.
life away. And compare that to a lecture, you have to be gentle. It's just a tiny baby.
Hmm.
Love the baby and you love the baby and you have to be gentle with the baby and
Yeah.
it's- nobody cares about me and what about me and
Hmm. How would you play out? We talked earlier about like, that's not fair, or stop copying me, or you're being too loud. Would you structure it and say, let's play the it's not fair game and kind of invite them
yeah,
directly if that's like a theme, or do you wait for them to like discover that that's a theme?
I I I believe in following children in play, but I also believe in dropping themes into the play.
Got it.
So,
Hmm.
and naming things as a game. I love that. So, oh, it's not fair game. Can I play? It's not
Hmm.
fair that you two are always fighting over that toy. I want that toy.
I
Um,
see.
it's not fair that, you know, um, you get to go to school, and I don't get to go to school, it's not
Hmm.
fair. And it's, and you just, being silly and exaggerating, joining the game, taking the sting out of it. And
Hmm.
we have to be careful because there's also the other side, which is empathy to the pain when things aren't fair.
Yeah, and I think that child will lead you there, right? Because I was imagining some parents might not realize the dynamics at play. If they're trying to do this playful thing, I could see a kid being
Yeah,
like, stop, and like kick
right,
you. And it's like they
right,
might feel like you're making fun of them, or
exactly.
it
So
backfires a little bit sometimes. Yeah.
it can, and I've certainly hit the wrong thing so many times, I think about connection as the overarching thing, and we
Uh-huh.
connect through play and we connect through emotional understanding. And we tune in and try to get it right, which one we're going to do, but I don't know, I've gotten it wrong so many times.
Uh-huh.
And it's okay. Children are forgiving. They let you start over. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's not a time for play. I didn't realize it really is painful when things aren't fair. Now,
Uh-huh.
that's a true statement. You don't have to decide whether it was really fair or unfair.
Right.
You're making a true statement. It's painful when things aren't fair. That's true,
Right.
right? We all
Right.
know that that's true. That doesn't mean that what the
It
argument
wasn't fair
is
just,
about
yeah, just
was
recently.
fair or unfair. It's not really up to us. We don't need to be the judge of that. When we're
Mm-hmm.
doing the emotional understanding, it's like, yeah, that's painful. I've heard you say that a bunch, that it's not fair. You really care about justice, and it's really painful when there's not justice and things aren't fair. I'd love
Mm-hmm.
to hear more about that and can not what they did, but what it's like. What's it like for you when things aren't fair?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can really understand. And no
And
one
when the other
talking.
sibling is like listening to this, the other one's like listening, thinking like, "Oh, now you're on their team." Is there something you would say to the other sibling that's like watching you empathize and validate this other child's like, feeling of feeling unfair? But how do you kind of, with multiple kids,
Yeah,
it can get like a little,
it's it's hard. I think over time, the hope is that all the kids have gotten so much of this
got it. Hmm.
that it's okay that somebody
Yeah.
else is getting it right this minute. But sometimes it has to be a little bit like a tennis match. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
you're so upset when things aren't fair. Oh, that was so hard when he said you weren't being fair, you know, and you really felt insulted by that. And oh, it's so painful when things aren't fair, isn't it? And oh, it's so painful to be accused of something. You know,
Yeah.
these are you're not going into it and being the judge. you know.
Right.
What are you talking about? This perfectly fair, you know, because fair, it's an
Right.
internal subjective thing. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, you keep an eye on the other one.
Because if you're saying, I understand it's so frustrating when it doesn't feel like it's fair, the other one might hear that as like, they weren't being fair. And you're not trying to say you were wrong, you're just trying to empathize. So sometimes what I'll say to my kids is like, I'm not saying that you were doing anything wrong. I'm saying they have a different reality than what you were experiencing. Everybody's
Right.
truth is the truth. It's just different right now. So
Yeah.
sometimes they can get a little bit like lectury because, so I don't know if you have any tips on that, because it's like you're
Yeah,
trying to do the emotion
I,
coaching,
right.
but you
I'm
also
glad you
want them to
brought,
understand what the thought
yeah,
process is.
right. I'm glad you brought this up because when we were planning this topic, there's one thing I wanted to say, we hadn't gotten to it yet. And
Yeah.
that is the difference between impact and intention. And
Okay.
this is a very big missing ingredient in most families when we are talking about moral
Mm.
development, or we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about conflict, or we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the kinds of things you brought up, like you're always so loud, or you're always touching my stuff. Um, that impact and intention are different, and they're both very important. And so, and we often miss this piece. Like we'll say to a
Yeah.
kid, "It was an accident. You shouldn't be mad." It's like,
Right.
okay, wait a minute. You're only talking about the intention, but the impact is you still got hurt.
Right.
Lego got broken, right? And we do the opposite. It's like, um, it didn't matter that it was an accident. You still have to apologize, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the um, and when we don't understand the importance of impact and intention, then children get confused. They
Yeah,
feel
I
like they're
agree.
being punished for their intentions, or they don't understand why they're punished because their intentions were good,
Right.
or they don't understand why the other person's not being punished because the impact was bad, you know. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. I get it. You didn't mean to hurt him, and he's hurt. So,
Yeah, I love the
both
magic word of
true.
and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are both true.
Mm-hmm.
The impact matters and the intention matters.
Yeah.
Children get this at an intuitive level, but I
Okay.
think often we don't reinforce it. So like if you
Yeah.
ask a child, if you tell a child two scenarios, and one of them is a kid who accidentally bumps into somebody and hurts them, and there's a second kid who is like kind of mean and they like try to punch somebody but they miss.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who would you rather play with? Right? Would you rather play with the one
Yeah.
who
With the
accidentally hurt
intention or
you?
the impact.
Yeah. It's like, most kids hit a certain age and they get it that they want to play with the one who hurt someone by accident
Right.
because that's a well-intentioned person, even though this person got hit by person A and this person
Right.
didn't get hit by person B. So children have an intuitive sense of the difference of impact and intention and how they're both important. So just
Mm-hmm.
because in the first scenario it was an accident, we still have to take care of the person who was injured.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
there was a mom who asked me about her son got in trouble at school because two kids bumped into each other. One
Mm-hmm.
was much taller than the other one, and the one who was taller, her teeth kind of hit the forehead of the other kid and left a mark.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an unfortunate accident, but my friend's kid laughed because this just seemed like a funny thing. Like if we watched this in a movie, it'd be
Yeah.
like
Right.
funny thing. And he got in big trouble with the teacher for laughing at someone being hurt.
Mm.
And the teacher told the mother, this child needs more consequences for their behavior. If bad
Mm.
behavior needs bad consequences. And it
Yeah.
didn't sit well with the mother. The mother thought, yes, I understand there was something wrong with what my son did, hurtful. He
Yeah.
was hurt by being, to be laughed at, but this consequences didn't seem to fit. And
Yeah.
and so I was trying to explain that it's not consequences that's needed, it's the understanding of impact and intention. And
Hmm.
so what we want is for the child watching to have the empathy to say, yes, you were hurt, or my laughing at you hurt your feelings. Even
Hmm.
I wasn't laughing at you to hurt your feelings. I was
Right.
laughing because I thought it was funny.
Hmm.
And so it's a subtle point, but it's a really important one. And like I said, I think children can get it even though it's subtle, um,
Yeah.
because it's a natural, intuitive kind of understanding. At some point, a 3-year-old doesn't necessarily get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this. It makes me think of these kind of more adult themes in relationships, like healthy self-esteem, which is like your intention, and then like boundaries with other people. Like it's not, oh, like even if you have good intentions to express your anger because you're feeling pain, it's not okay to hurt my body. Like impact. So two things can be true, but we can still have a lot of responsibility around it and expectations of repair without shaming people for being bad, right?
Right. Right. And I think that the example of one child is very loud,
Hmm.
it's the other child is very sensitive to noise. Well, who's
Yeah.
wrong? Nobody's wrong, right?
Right.
But who's hurt? They're both hurt. The
Hmm.
sensitivity to noise, like I know there's noises I can't stand, and it's impinging on me. It's painful, but being
Yeah.
yelled at for being too loud and to be blamed and accused, and it's something that they can't help. This is how they speak, and then they're hurt for that. So
Hmm.
to kind of help sort out what that the impact is real, but the intention is also important, and
Yeah.
strive for, we haven't reached it, but we're gonna keep striving for something that works for everyone. Because
Right.
keep your mouth shut and never speak and only speak in a whisper is not going to work for you. And
Right.
everyone in the world speaking quietly is not going to, it's
Yeah.
possible, um, and or just live with it. Everybody's loud, just live with it. Like that doesn't work for you. So we haven't figured out yet
Hmm.
what works for everyone,
Hmm.
but we're going to keep looking for what works for everyone. No.
Yeah. And it seems like it would be very nuanced and personalized to the two people involved because you can make a
Right.
lot of generalities. Like it's not okay to be loud all the time. Whereas maybe
Right.
it's okay for two people that are fine with it and they can work out a plan and it's fine for them actually. So maybe it is very like nuanced in your home between specific kids
Right.
and their temperaments, personalities, needs. What works for these, even though maybe general culture would say that's not appropriate. How is this working out for you and your kids, right?
Right. Right. So maybe a signal, maybe a nonverbal signal, uh,
Hmm.
you know, like that, that
Yeah.
wouldn't trigger the one who's loud as much as being yelled at for being too loud. And maybe not, it's all an experiment, right? So maybe that is annoying and insulting, to have somebody do that. Um,
Hmm.
But again, we also have to look at what's the goal. It's like, is your goal to have your sister be quieter, or is your goal to be morally superior and to
Yeah.
for something?
Yeah. Yeah, I love the conversation. It really like I think teaching kids empathy throughout this process is I think key because that's the key to understanding different people's perspectives, helping them have empathy. When we give them empathy first, then they can begin to have
Exactly.
empathy for their
Yeah.
sibling, right? And
Yeah.
perspective
I
taking.
was going to add that also, right? I
Yeah.
remember my daughter said to me once, um, she was probably 7 or 8, and she said, "You always tell me when I have a friend over that I have to let them choose things and because they're the guest. And then you tell me when I'm at somebody else's house, I have to let them choose things because it's their house. Like, when do I get to choose?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I never thought about that. So I was like, I was wanting her to teach her to be a good guest and a good host. And I was missing
Mhm.
that she needed that emotional support before she could do any of that.
Right. Yeah. And they can do that with us. We can handle it. We're big people. They can
Right.
practice with us and they can show us all the resistance and the
You
and
said
really be sturdy and like and firm with us, and then they can collaborate more with their siblings once they get it out of their system with us a little bit.
right.
Yeah. Amazing conversation. And I don't know if there's any other element we missed in regarding what you were thinking of covering today. I think we covered a lot, but if there's anything
Yeah.
else that I left
Um,
out, and then
yeah.
definitely I want you to share. Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
can't think of anything. Covered a lot of ground.
Okay, great. So if you could leave parents with one insight about helping siblings move from complaints and criticism to genuine helpful feedback, what would it be? Just to kind of summarize, one takeaway to
Um,
start with.
I'd say the summary is our job is not to be the judge of who's right and wrong, but to lower the tension. And we lower the tension with humor and play, and we lower the tension with empathy and understanding.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I love that. So powerful. That was a huge aha moment for me today too, about focus on the tension instead of focusing on the skills, especially in the moment.
Mm.
And then the skills will build on themselves more naturally over time too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you share with us where people can find out more about your work and resources?
Sure. Playfulparenting.com. And there's not a lot on there now. It's being rehabbed, that website.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe by the time this airs, it will be full, or maybe not. But you
Awesome.
can
Yeah.
sign up for my monthly newsletter at the site, playfulparenting.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time out today. I know it's always super practical and valuable, and I'm taking notes over here as we're talking. So, really
Mhm.
appreciate your time. And I know that our audience will enjoy this as well.
It's always great to talk to you, Diana.
Thank you.
Uh,